And there you have it. These Days, nice cover of a beautiful Jackson Browne tune by our first guest, Mr. David Starr, who's going to come in and say hello. How are you, David?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing okay. Sorry for any confusion. Understand we got a little tangled up about schedule times and everything, and I slapped myself on the wrist if I made a boo-boo there, but glad you're here.
That's okay.
Glad we're ready to go, and good to have you here. What's been going on in David Starr's life since you were on our show before?
Oh, man. When was that? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, my gosh.
Probably been
I want to say
a year. Or...
It's been about 4 years, hasn't it?
I want to say it was about a year ago.
Well, you know,
go ahead.
It was right about this time that the Beauty and Ruin album came out that we worked on for so long, and it officially came out the 21st of February 2020, and then of course the world came to a grinding halt, and it's of course kind of been there ever since. So really never got to get out, and I canceled around 100 gigs that were going to be to promote that album, and including a whole tour of Scotland and England, and so. I guess there have been a lot of things have sort of been on hold, but in the interim to kind of keep the creative juices flowing, I went and recorded a bunch of cover songs and been releasing those one a month since November.
Yeah, it was the Beauty and Ruin album, so it was about a year ago when you were on here, and glad to see that you have survived this downtime, which is. It has struck everybody, and we're getting a lot of people who have said that they have done pretty much what you've done. They've used the time for studio time to do more music, whether it be covers or original material, and we've had to talk to a couple of people who got really, really into the creative time, having the downtime. I know one guest that was on last week was telling us that he really used catchphrases and picked words and phrases out of the air to lead him into new areas of lyric, which he might not have explored on his own. It's creative artists are going to use time creatively, and I think that goes without saying, which I just spent 5 minutes saying. But nevertheless, have you done any live shows online? Like Facebook Live or anything like that?
Yeah, I did a fair bit of that early on, and did a couple of things. I did some Facebook Live stuff where I just did an hour and a half or an hour or whatever of live live sort of stories and song kind of thing, and then I did a little series where I took each song from the Beauty and Ruin album and would do sort of a here's who wrote the song with me, here's what it was about, here's how it was inspired from the book that my grandfather wrote, which was the whole project was built around in it. And I would read maybe a page or two out of the book that would inform the song a little bit, then play the song. And each one of those was about 30 minutes. And then I did a little series that I'll probably get back to and do some more of. I have my day job is I own my own guitar store, and the good part about the pandemic is that the store's done well, thankfully, and that I've been able to be there more than I might have been if I'd been on the road. But one of the things that I did was just to say, okay, well, I've got all these guitars. Pick one off the wall every day and do a little video about why you like it, what it's, the qualities and attributes, where it came from, maybe if they're a vintage piece, what the story is, and not real in-depth or technical, but just this is a cool guitar and here's why I like it, And so I did 15 or 20 of those, and I'll probably get back to that at some point. But, I just tried to stay busy, just so I wouldn't think about what I was missing.
Sure.
And,
sure.
When you do that, when you do that, you're just missing what you're in the middle of. So
what you're in, right? And I like that concept that you grabbed onto. You got these guitars here, utilize them, take one and do a thing with that particular guitar, and then with another. Yeah. I like that. That's really creative. John Bon Jovial, you want to jump in here?
Sure. Well, first of all, David, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. This cover that you just did of These Days is beautifully done. I know it's been done by quite a few people, of course, Jackson Browne having written it. Tom Rush does a cover of it. I know Bonnie Raitt did a cover of it. And David Starr did a cover of it. And I got to tell you, and I'm not saying this just to stroke your ego, but your version of it, I believe, to be every bit as high quality as anything else that I've ever heard. And I really hope you get some mileage with it. I really do. Because, it's very nicely done.
Well, the response has been really good. And one of the things that we tried to do with this project, I sat down early in the summer, and I thought if I were going to do a project with covers, pick some that sort of, we were all in the middle of a strange year, probably the strangest year I've ever lived through, and I think that's that way for a lot of people. And so not only were they songs that I liked and that I'd been playing in my live show maybe, some of them were songs I'd maybe played in bands when I was younger, playing in bar bands or whatever. Some were songs that I simply, every time it comes on the radio, I go, man, I love that song. I'd like to do it. So I took the opportunity just to record them, and we decided to put a little video with each one of them. And I've got a guy in Nashville named Jason Denton who's just a brilliant young man with video production. And we've done videos before, but I said, take these songs as we release them, and instead of putting me in all these videos, we subscribe to one of those places where you can get footage and whatnot. And he goes in and he does keyword searches that help him build a video for the song. And I think the songs are more powerful, even that way, than just as a piece of music, because on these days the videos it's topical with people dealing with the separation due to COVID and all that sort of thing, and
right,
trials and tribulations. So anyway, it was. But that particular song really, really, I get lost in it every time I sing it.
Well, it's a great song regardless of who does it. But you're just describing the way the putting together the videos and such. It's got to be one of the more interesting uses that I've ever heard of using keywords or meta tags, and that's creativity can be a wonderful thing. And I had never thought of doing anything like that. I think that's great.
I may start doing a show like that.
when it
look up
really
some keywords and say what artist fits this mold.
like in December, we released "Gotta Serve Somebody," that Bob Dylan song, and it's like any Dylan tune. There's so many lyrics, you could go nuts trying to match that up. And he just went in and put, that you may be a diplomat from England or France. Okay, well he put diplomat, England, France, and he got some images and some video clips, and you're not on any of them for more than a few seconds. So it's pretty neat, and they're all up on the YouTube channel.
It is, and a little bit different perspective than the writer-performer's view of that song at the same time. I want to also give you a chance. I want to find out for myself, too. These videos that you spoke of from the Beauty and Ruin album, are they available online?
Yeah, everything I've done, I've tried to put up. A couple of them I botched, but everything is at, if you go to youtube.com/David Starr Music, I've got a channel there, and I just try to throw as much content up there as possible and put them in playlists so people can organize them and listen to them and watch them, and I find that's a pretty good repository for everything.
It is, and I was hoping you'd say that, because a lot of people look there for, for the creative stuff that they don't get from the regular sources. And of course, we pride ourselves on not being a regular source here, but it's really interesting to hear how the artists have filled this time. And as I alluded to earlier, it's a case of most artists like yourself are creative people to begin with. You give them some free time and let their creative juices flow, and you're going to find some interesting results, and in your case, some beautiful results, too, because I agree with John. That's an excellent cover, an excellent interpretation of the Jackson Browne tune that you did there. Before we let you go now, I want to give you a chance to, you said that the YouTube channel is David Starr.
David Starr Music.
David Starr Music. Okay, got that. Now,
Yeah.
tell the folks where they can find you otherwise online, social media, etc.
My website is davidstarmusic.com, and then David Starr Music on Facebook. And I don't use Twitter. It's been overused the last year or two. So I'm staying out of that fray. But just David Starr Music, I probably grab that name, and that seems to get you where you need to go. But it's an interesting time. I've written a lot of things down, but I haven't finished a lot of songs. And my goal this year is to finish some of the stuff I started in 2020.
Well, then we've got a lot more to look forward to in the future from you then. Speaking of the future, before we let you go, last thing up, David, tell us about this next song we're going to be playing, Rise Up Again. Sounds like a bit of change of pace for you.
Well, that particular song was written during the recording, the period when we were recording the Beauty and Run album, and I briefly went in for some emergency surgery over on a weekend. Pretty serious intestinal thing happened, and they had to fix it or I wasn't going to make it. And so I had a very vivid dream about my father and grandfather while I was under sedation and in the hospital, and kind of terrified about the whole thing. Came out of that experience and wrote this song, more or less, and John Oates and I were working on all this stuff together, and I shared the song with him. He said, "Do you mind if I work on it with you?" And so we finished that song, and while it's not one that was directly pulled from the book itself, it sort of found its way into the project by virtue of the fact that it was about my father and grandfather, and I'm really proud of that song. And a lot of people told him it was inspirational and sort of had an anthem feel, to him.
Yeah.
And I sort of felt like in the last few months I've been going through all this turmoil and heartache that we can use all of that we can get.
I agree with you. I can relate to your intestinal problems. I had a round of that about 10, 11 years ago myself, so I can relate with that. And I agree. This is a beautiful anthemic song, and we thank you not only for sharing your music, but for sharing your time to come here, sit and talk with us about it, David. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to doing it again.
I'll look forward to having you back, ladies and gentlemen. David Starr, this is Rise Up Again.
My father and his father came to me at night as I tossed my head on a fever bed, praying for the light. The elder spoke in poetry, words dancing round his head. Then the younger said, "You see, I was cut down when I was running at full speed, thinking everything I wanted was everything I need. Betting I was faster than any wicked wind that blew my way. You will rise up, you will go on. It's not your time, it's just one more storm. Though we're like leaves scattered to the wind, you will rise up again. Rise. Those who've gone before me spoke to me in dreams, telling me my race is not yet run. Their faces lost to history, circumstance and mystery, fading names and places gone to time.